Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be discussing one of the most significant events in modern history, World War I. The Great War, as it was called, had a profound impact on the world, shaping international relations and politics for decades to come. We'll be taking a detailed look at the causes, the major players, and the impact of the war. So, let's begin by discussing the causes of World War I. There were many factors contributing to the outbreak of the war, including political, economic, and social reasons. One of the primary causes was the complex web of alliances that existed between the nations of Europe. These alliances were formed in the wake of earlier wars, especially the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. The Triple Entente, consisting of Britain, France, and Russia, was opposed by the Central Powers, consisting of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, which later withdrew. When one nation was attacked, its allies would be obligated to defend it, which meant that even a small conflict could quickly escalate. Another factor that contributed to the outbreak of the war was the arms race between the major powers. Countries were building up their military might, and the development of new technologies, such as tanks, artillery, and submarines, made the prospect of war more likely. Additionally, there were intense economic rivalries between the powers, as they competed for resources and markets around the world. Now that we've discussed the causes of the war, let's move on to the major players in World War I. The war involved many nations, but the main players were the Allied powers and the Central Powers. The Allied powers included Britain, France, and Russia, and later the USA, Japan, and Italy. The Central Powers were made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. These two groups clashed in a brutal war that lasted from 1914 to 1918. The war was fought on many fronts, with major battles taking place in France, Belgium, Russia, and the Middle East. It was characterized by trench warfare, with soldiers dug into elaborate systems of trenches that stretched for miles. These trenches were often flooded, filled with mud and rats, and were a breeding ground for disease and infection. One of the defining features of World War I was the level of technological innovation that was brought to the battlefield. The development of new weapons and tactics led to unprecedented levels of bloodshed and horror. The introduction of machine guns, for example, made it possible for a single soldier to kill dozens of enemies from a distance. Poison gas, such as chlorine and mustard gas, was used for the first time, causing terrible injuries and death. Tanks were also introduced, allowing armies to break through enemy lines and advance quickly. The tactics of the war reflect the new weapons and strategies of the time. Trench warfare was the norm, and both sides fought to gain control of advantageous positions. This led to the use of tactics such as creeping barrages, where artillery fire was coordinated with troop movements to create a protective wall of fire. Finally, let's discuss the impact that World War I had on the world. It was the most destructive conflict in history up to that point, leaving approximately 16 million people dead and millions more wounded or displaced. The war led to significant changes in international relations, particularly in Europe. The Treaty of Versailles, which was signed at the end of the war, imposed heavy reparations in Germany and created the League of Nations, an international organization designed to prevent future wars. The war also had a profound social impact, particularly on the role of women in society. With so many men away fighting, women took on new responsibilities and roles, including working in factories, hospitals, and other traditionally male-dominated fields. In conclusion, World War I was a complex and multifaceted event that shaped the modern world in countless ways. By understanding its causes, major players, weapons and tactics, and impact, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the people who participated in this monumental and tragic event, and the cost of their sacrifice. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos from my channel.